We're back, baby. Horns up, Talking Texas podcast. Fisher and the Eric Metcalf on this one. Those listening on ESPN 102.7, you're going to get a 2-for-1. Fisher and Metcalf, Tosopoulos, and Cosby on the second half. But those listening on the podcast, you're also getting a 2-for-1. This episode is just, though, myself and Mr. Metcalf before he heads overseas to enjoy a little time over in Japan. But before we can let you go over and enjoy your vacation, Eric, got to get going on our horns. A lot of good, also a lot of not so good in game two. One thing we discussed last week was starting slow, and we also discussed, we not really didn't break it down too much, but it was more evident in game two, the penalties. So as a veteran player, as a coach, how do you overcome starting slow like we've been doing, like it's been accustomed to this team? It's kind of their brand, unfortunately, their bread and butter. And how do you clean up the penalties? Because both at this point are ridiculous. And as we head to SEC play soon, it's just not going to be acceptable.
I mean, that's just a matter of discipline as far as the penalties. There's aggressive penalties, and then there are penalties when you're just not thinking. Aggressive penalties sometimes you can live with, because if somebody gets a personal pass interference or something, we know he's trying to play hard and trying to do the right thing. He got caught up with the guy. When we're talking about false starts, we're talking about little holding penalties that aren't necessary. Those are the ones that are problems. It's about being disciplined in your technique and how you're thinking and approaching each play. And I think the thing about it is these things happen in practice. And if you're getting away with it in practice, then it's okay. Nobody says anything until it's game time and you're actually getting penalized. And so that's why I have to say it has to happen in practice. You have to be penalized in practice. You have to be the bullets have to be flying in practice. So guys know game speed and how to prepare for moments like this. And like I say, we know penalties are a killer for everybody. And even against a San Jose State team, we had too many and it almost cost us. Not in a loss, but just the fact that it was holding us back from what we might have been trying to do.
Yeah, and Toss said it the other day, it always feels like we play to our competition, up or down. And I feel like going to the starting slow, yes, we want to score in our opening possession. It just felt too blasé, too lackadaisical, like the team eased into this game once again. Obviously, they pull away as the game goes on. We see amazing flashes from Arch to Livingston. We see amazing flashes again from Arch to Jack Andrews. Wingo's had another bad drop. Baxter looks solid. Like there were some, again, really good moments, but I just am so confused on like why this team starts slow and how does Sark fix that? Like, how does he have to get them up? I just don't get it. It's just not right. I can't wrap my head around it because other teams come out guns blazing, like Oregon, for example. Yes, Oklahoma State's not the class of the Big 12 this year. We knew that going in. We knew they weren't going to be one of the contenders. But at the end of the day, they still are a Power 4, whatever it is at this point, conference. They're still coached by a very established, successful coach on the other side, and they beat the brakes off of them. 20 points in the first quarter. It was like 69-3 or something like that. They absolutely smoked them. How do we get that against the UTEP?
I don't know if they do it, but for me, I in practice, maybe ones against ones. No scout teams. Let's go. Because this is what you're going to see on the other side in these real games. And like I said, San Jose isn't Ohio State, so it's a little different. But that's what's more disturbing, is that we're not able to start fast. We're still coming out, and I said we should come out throwing the ball, which he did. But I still think that we're running these long, slow developing plays that are taken away from who we really are or could be. I mean, we like to see that because these are, once again, these same plays that are working all the time in practice. You get to go down from 1 to your third read all the way back to your 1 again, because you're not getting hit in practice. You're not taking off. There's no threat of anything. And so I just like the thought of maybe ones against ones to speed it up and maybe make it a competition, because we're not starting fast for some reason. And like you said, it's disturbing.
Yeah. And it's other teams are going to make you pay. Right. Maybe not UTEP, maybe not Sam Houston. Florida looks shaky. They have a gauntlet of a schedule. And while the whole, nation is soured on them, after losing at home against USF. They got 2 tough road games coming up against Clemson and Miami. Hypothetically, what if they win those games? All of a sudden, they're completely back in the picture. They're scorching hot coming off
Right.
2 high level competition games, and they'll make you pay. That 12 penalties starting off slow, is that going to work in Athens? No. It's not going to work in Dallas against OU, who beat a really good Michigan team this past weekend at home. These are things that have to get cleaned up. And I like how you and Quan always go back to practice. And I'm sure things have changed. I'm sure with, just the way the game has changed, it seems, right, that things are a little bit more eased up, right? You could get away with a lot more in practice. And there's not, I mean, because I remember Quan used, when they won the national championship, he talked about every game they went to, it was almost easier because of the guys they went up against in practice.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't feel like that's the case right now for some reason. I mean, we're not there at practice. Quan's been to a few, so we'll ask him. But it just doesn't feel like they're getting good reps like you're suggesting on ones versus ones where they're seeing the live bullets fly. In terms of Arch, what are some things that you liked about him and some things that you still think he has to work on after what you saw in week 2? Huge improvement, by the way. Great.
Right.
Definitely a lot better than what we saw in week 1 against Ohio State. Thank God. And we knew that was going to happen. We knew, I think, some of the jitters were going to get out. But first home start as the full-time starter, things you liked, but some things you think he needs to work on.
See, I'm not down on Arch even after the Ohio State game, like a lot of people were, because
Yeah.
like I said, I saw some throws that I know are pro level throws that he can make. Of course, we all go back to footwork. Not being need to clean the footwork up, and he still needs to clean the footwork up. But I don't right now. I don't think his clock in his head is going off fast enough. And like I said, a lot of it has to do with these long, slow developing plays that in practice work every single time. Right? I like to see him go back 1, 2, 3. Not there, take off. I like to see him get to his second and third read faster, because this is what happens when you're playing good teams. And so to me, he's a very good quarterback, a very good athlete, and can make plays. It's just cleaning up the little things. And then, like I said, footwork, throwing up his back foot, the timing, and getting that right. And because it just doesn't look like he has the timing with some of his receivers, like say Quinn did with all those guys last year. And so I just want to see this timing get cleaned up. And with in doing so, you have to do that by, like I said, 1, 2, 3, bam, throw the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth step, throw the ball. And when we get that timing right, then I think we'll see a vastly improved Arch Manning.
Yeah, I agree, and it'll pick up his confidence. Just
Right.
completions, stacking completions. Like, okay, you're in a rhythm. You're getting you're getting the receivers the ball. They're feeling good. Like you're more locked in. Like versus like these long, slow developing plays. They could kind of crater the offense a little bit. And if it doesn't develop, it's kind of like it feels sometimes it's like home run or bust. Like,
Right.
hey, it's like we slam this out of the park, huge gain, score, unbelievable play. But if it doesn't execute, then it kind of takes the whole offense out of rhythm.
Yeah.
I grew up a Patriots fan, and obviously everyone talks about Brady the GOAT. But what I loved about Tom so much, 4 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, just
Yep.
peppering guys, dude. Just bang. That's why guys like Hogan, Amendola, and Welker work so well for him. Gronk works so, and he had the Mosses obviously who are unbelievable talents that he could hit long, but those guys work so well for him because it was just pick apart Edelman, pick apart the defense, bang, 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 those throws. And all of a sudden, you ran 12 plays. You've controlled the game clock for half the quarter, and then you scored, and then you kept their offense stale.
Right. And another thing he did, if those guys weren't there, to the check down real quick. And that guy got 5 to 6 yards. Right. And so you're still in the same place that you were trying to be had you thrown it down the field. But that is a matter of timing. 1, 2, 3, looking at this, getting off his first, second, and third read and swinging it over to the back. I mean, we saw what I can't remember which Super Bowl it was where the running back caught like 12 passes.
Yeah. James
So
White.
James White, yes. And so that's because they covered those guys up. He got off his reach, threw it over there. And that's winning football. Winning football is not taking the sack. Winning football is not waiting all day to see if we can get this play just because this is what is called for and this is the number one in this play. Winning football is getting ahead of the chains. And I don't think we've done a good job of getting ahead of the chains on the easy throws, right? On throws that because the big one wasn't there, we didn't just take the easy one and get us ahead of the chains.
Yeah, I agree. And then bringing up the backs and using them in checkdowns. Obviously, no Wisner in this one, but Baxter, second game fully healthy. What do you like that you've seen out of him? How do you feel about him coming back? How do you feel about that running back dynamic? Do you feel he's the RB1? I know we're going to kind of go split backfield here, or do you really believe that it's like Wisner is the top dog in that backfield right now?
Right now Wisner has to be the top dog just because of what he did last year. But we know Baxter could be. And I think Sark can do a good job of putting them both in positions where it doesn't really matter who's in. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm in, these plays are designed for me, and we know that I can excel running the ball, whether it be on the outside or in between the tackles. We can design plays for these guys specifically. And I think Sark could do a good job of that. And so it really doesn't matter who starts because as long as everybody gets their touches and their opportunities. If you get somebody who gets a hot hand because we're running certain plays for them, then maybe you stick with them. But until we find that, you just keep using them both because I mean that's what everyone does. It's hard for one guy to go out there and play an entire game, especially with the schedule coming on in the SEC. You're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to have two guys who can go out there and make things happen, and we do have that.
Yeah. Have you been impressed with Baxter? Do you feel like he's back to full speed, or do you still think he's like working it back?
I mean, I think he's back to full speed, but we never know until he's in the game and he gets a lot of plays in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can he be that guy? And I even before he got hurt, I thought he was a guy, and I still think he'll be the guy. And so it's a matter of getting time. We've seen guys get injured, and it just takes some time, but it also
Mm-hmm.
takes reps, right?
Yeah.
And so if we have another guy who's playing well, it's hard to get the reps that you really need to get back into the groove. But I think we'll moving forward in this season, he'll get the reps that he needs, and we'll see what we want to see from him.
Yeah, and then last back I want to hit on before we talk about some guys, impact players, guys who've been liking on both sides of the ball, and maybe some guys we want to see some more from. Jarrett Gibson, I feel just has like a ton of talent, but I feel like coughing up the ball is just like how do you fix that? How does
That's
that get fixed?
that's we saw the program. You saw the
Yeah,
movie The Program. You can do
yeah,
not let anybody get that ball out your hand. Make him walk around with it. But I mean, but it's a matter of how you how you cover the ball when you're going through tackles. I mean, I fumble playing. Everybody's fumbled, and it's
yeah,
and sometimes you can't help it just the way you get hit because it's like forget that ball. My body just hurt. It hurts, right?
yeah,
But 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 it's the fumbles where guys are just sticking their arms in and ripping it out, or putting their head on a helmet on the ball that makes it hard to understand that, But it's just how you protect it, how you cover when you're going into contact, expecting guys to come from other side out of the play, out of your sight. And it's tough, but these are things that you have to work on in practice.
hmm
And you're not hitting in practice, so you're never going to feel that, right?
hmm
That's the problem. A lot of times you don't feel that in practice, and so it's different when you get in the games because these guys are just once again running through the motions. It's not their fault. That's how it's played now. You can't wear pads all the time like you used to. It's
yeah,
different, and so it's a matter of concentration and just covering it up.
yeah. I feel like he could be viable and useful for us. Like he is a big dude. Like I feel like he
Yeah,
could be really, really useful. It's just as like how reliable can he be when you know that once a game like that's gonna happen. And I feel for the kid. Like you're rooting for him. Like you don't want that to be his narrative as a Texas Longhorn. You want him to be like a two back behind Baxter like next year and going forward. You don't want him to lose his job. But again, I hope in this game he gets more run, get a clean game out of him. That builds his confidence going forward. Speaking of confidence, who are some guys? Let's start with the positive on offense and defense. Maybe one each a pop that you've been really impressed with that you're loving right now.
Parker Livingston on
Mm.
offense. He's made play after play. I mean, and that's and going into this first episode, who I was saying Ryan Wingo
Yeah.
had to be the guy, had to be the guy, and now Parker Livingston has been the guy. I mean, for what he scored like the first few touchdowns of the season for us, right? And
Yeah, no,
so
he's a machine.
and so he's been playing well when I thought Ryan Wingo should be the guy, and still can be, but Parker Livingston has been playing his tail off, and I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah.
let me see defensively. Hmm. Lee Fowl. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a beast.
He's
That's like to me is similar to it's LaFau's great, and a lot of guys have been really good. Like
right.
there's not a, I think there's a glaring guy that we might discuss in a hot second that has underwhelmed. I'm in a similar boat in that similar group, and obviously Anthony Hill we can talk about. Like he does make some amazing plays.
Right.
And he's an amazing player, but LaFau, like you're saying, and then
Fowl.
Ty Anthony Smith for me is like he's another guy. Like they
Yeah.
have him in that NASCAR package where there's 5 defensive backs and there's just the 2 linebackers, and it's him and Hill. And he's so good against the run. He's such a great athlete. And Smith and LaFau are just, I feel like, our unsung heroes right now that are doing just a ton
Mhm.
of dirty work in on every tackle, all over the field, cleaning up where they need to. And that's kind of what you need on defense. And I feel like another guy taking a brunt of the load on the offensive side of the ball is Gooseby.
Yes.
He's really our only offensive lineman right now, which is scary a little bit. That's playing up to the standard and up to the caliber that we need these offensive linemen to play with. Like we need these guys. We need this offensive line to be an SEC offensive line. And right now, the rest of the guys, and I'll kind of get into the negative side of things, aren't up to snuff. And a lot of people are giving Brandon Baker flack. It's his first year fully starting. I give him a little more leeway. But a guy that I'm pretty disappointed with was a guy that I thought was going to be the leader on the offensive line. That's DJ Campbell. He's a veteran guy with multiple penalties. Last game, a penalty in the first game. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be our most veteran offensive lineman and have multiple penalties like that.
Right. And I mean, once again, we go back to the penalties. Penalties set you back. And when you
Yeah.
when you're expecting someone to be their most reliable, and they're not, that makes it hard for you, especially when the other guys are looking up to this person or this player. And so, it's tough. Hopefully we get better with these games. Fortunately, we have these games and these teams that we're playing that we can get better against.
Yeah. We need like a tune-up game where we just come into this weekend and just it's annihilation. And I don't mean any disrespect to UTEP. Like it just has to be
Right.
that way.
Right.
They need that game. They need that. I used to cover USC. I covered USC in Caleb Williams' last year. And he had won the Heisman the year before. And he was, I mean, I know he gets a lot of flack. I mean, I've never seen a player get so much hate at the NFL level. Just like, and I know he wasn't perfect, but he gets a ton of flack. This kid was incredible at USC. But they had some of the similar issues in a year where everyone thought they were going to, after he won the Heisman his first year at USC, everyone thought he was going to, the USC Trojans with Lincoln Riley, everyone thought they were going to contend for a national championship, and they underwhelmed completely. And they had some of the similar issues that I'm seeing with our team. All the talent in the world, just the slow starts, games closer, feeling closer than they have to be. Yes, some big, amazing plays, but some stuff between the ears that just isn't working. So that kind of personally makes me a little scared. And then on Colin Simmons' point, what has to happen there for him? Like he, again, 3 penalties, no sacks. What's the pressure like? I mean, you've been in this situation where you're one of the top guys, if not the top guy on the team, or at least on your side of the ball. Like what happens to a player like that, where at least at the start of the season or a couple games in a row, you're not playing up to the caliber or up to the standard that everyone's holding you at?
Well, jumping off sides and things like that, those penalties you can control.
Yeah.
Those you can control. I mean, getting a sack, that's hard, especially if you're going to be double teamed. You need other guys to do their part in order for you not to be double teamed. But if you want to be the guy, you got to be the guy. You're going to get, I've seen people get double teamed to make plays, but I just expect that he just gets in a place in his head where it's just about letting the game come to him, going out there and being the person that he expects to be, not who everyone else expects him to be, because he knows what he has done to get him to where he is right now. Just keep that up. Just keep working harder. He's the man. We know he's the man. He can make plays, and he's going to make a lot of plays this year. It's a matter of just finding that groove, and people understand it happens on defense also. There's a groove you have to find, and right now he's not feeling like he's in that groove, and he's not making the plays that he wants to make, and so you still get in a place where you're trying to press, where you're trying to when you're trying to get across, you're trying to beat the snap because you want to get a sack. When you're trying to just do things that are different than what you've been doing. And so he, like I said, he just has to get into a comfortable place where he knows I can make plays no matter what PK calls. And
Mhm.
and once he gets to that, it's going to be smooth sailing for him because we know he's a great player.
Yeah.
He just has to find a place in his head where he knows he's that player without having to press to be that guy.
Do you feel the same way about Wingo then?
I,
Or is that a whole other?
I feel the same way. I feel the same way because especially when you're a receiver, when you're a receiver, you a lot of things have to go right for you to get the ball.
Mhm.
A lot of things. So pressing pressing is even it's even harder there because you like throw has to be there, blocking has to be there. I have to run the route. I can't get held, and then I got to finally catch the ball. Then I want to try to run and score. So there's so many things that are going through a receiver's head that make it hard when he's out there. That if you're not comfortable and in a smooth space, it could be rough. And that's why you see guys drop balls because they're so intent on making a play that they're just trying to get it and go. They're not concentrating on catching the ball first. We all know you can't do anything with the ball until you catch it.
Mhm.
So, but we're already thinking about I got to make a play because I haven't scored a touchdown this year. I haven't had a big play this year, and those are things that go into a guy's head, get into a guy's head. And I know that from being an offensive player. When you're not touching the ball, all
Mhm.
you're thinking is touchdown. You're not thinking about, oh, coach, give me the ball. You think I want to score because everyone else is scoring. And so that's what happens to a receiver, especially because so many variables have to go right in order for your play to be successful.
Yeah, I can imagine, and especially when you're the star receiver.
Right.
I'm sure you want to get yours, and it's such a temperamental. And I don't want to use that word, but it's a temperamental position where there's a lot of visibility on the receiver nowadays.
Yes.
Like if you even go to the next level, like if you look at every single NFL team, obviously aside from the quarterback, a lot of teams' second star player is the wide receiver nowadays. And so I'm sure there's some level of temperament that goes into your head in a game when you're seeing other guys get theirs and you're supposed to be the guy. And like you're saying, it makes so much sense. You're focused on scoring or making a big play. And that's why we see Ryan Wingo drop the ball because he's not just worried about getting those 5-7 yards for the next benefit. And not saying not a team player. Of course, the guy's a team player. That goes without saying, I'd imagine. But otherwise, I don't think they'd be playing him. But I'm sure there's a little bit of like, hey, like, let me make this bigger than it has to be versus like, let me just get these 5-7 yards, get the first down, we move the chains, we keep the offense rolling. Which again, he wants to score for the team, but I'm sure there's a little bit of individuality going on there.
I mean, of course there is. I mean, when we look on the other side, look at Parker Livingston. It seems
Yeah,
like everything he touches right now is gold.
yeah,
Right. And so when you're on the other side, you see this happening, you're like, why is this not happening to me? Right?
yeah,
Whatever the play is, and I'm sure Sark's not going out there saying we got to get Parker a touchdown. Just calling plays, and whatever happens, happens. But it seems that he and Arch right now are comfortable with each other, and they're making plays.
is it the off the field thing? Like they're like, because I'm not saying that Archers and boys with Wingo, I don't know their dynamic, but I think it's pretty public the dynamic of Livingston and Manning. I think they're pretty 90% sure they're roommates, and like they hang out like they're best buds. Is my point. Do you think that helps the dynamic
It
on the
helps.
field?
I think it does because it's the trust factor, and not to say he doesn't trust Wingo, but it's the trust factor. Like, oh, this is my guy. I know if I throw him the ball, he's going to catch it, or if I get into this area, he's going to catch it. And then as at the same time, Parker's saying all he has to do is throw it to me, and I'm going to catch it. And right now, and so they're comfortable. Right now, Wingo hasn't found that comfortability, and so
Yeah.
with Arch, right? And that's all it is, and it just takes time, and that's why they need to use these games right here to get to that place, especially getting ready for the upcoming conference season. Use these games. These are the best practices you're going to get. Not to disrespect the other teams, but these are the best practices you're going to get, because even if you go one versus one in practice, you're still not getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
They're still not coming full speed. Everybody likes to say they're coming full speed, but it's never full speed when you know you have to pull off.
Yeah.
Right? So these right here, these next 3 games are the best practices you're going to get. This is the best one versus one you're going to get, and so we need to treat it as such.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one last guy, because I don't know if we didn't really touch on him because he seems to have that mind meld as well. And I have to shout him out every show because he's becoming my guy, is Jack Andrus, the tight end.
Oh,
He
I knew
just
you.
is. I love him. He just cleans up so well. Like every play he has to make, he always makes. Big body, good receiver, good athlete. He's not like, it's not Gronk, but he's like Gunnar Helm. It's a similar style of player who I thought was really excellent for the Texas Longhorns. But speaking of excellent players for the Texas Longhorns, my wheels were turning the other day because of the jersey retirement talk. It's a segment we do on our sister show, but I felt like I would ask you because I was curious. You're one of the guys, obviously, in Texas history. Fab Five. Who are your 5 best Texas Longhorns players of all time, in your opinion?
Does it have to be in order?
No,
Okay.
no.
Of all time. Number one is hands down. It doesn't even matter where I throw him out. It's Earl Campbell. To me. I mean, Earl is, and when you talk about running backs, say Earl versus Ricky, everything's different. Everybody runs different. Everybody played different. Offenses were different. But Earl is still the gold standard. When
Mhm.
when when we're talking about Texas football and me. That's when I believe Earl is the gold standard. So Earl's number one. And then not in order, but I'll just throw them out. I would go VY, Ricky, Nobis, and probably Bobby Lane.
Mm.
And then 6 man of the year would be Eric Metcalf.
Yeah, come on. Come on, dude. I was like waiting
Hey,
for you to throw yourself in.
I have to, because I'm gonna throw myself as 6 just because I guess I did things that no one else did.
That's
And so
I interviewed Desmond Howard one time, and I asked him to pick his like dream offensive team, and he was like, "Can I pick myself?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like it'd be weird if you didn't pick yourself, dude. It makes
right,
it,
right,
it's
right, right,
okay. Like if
right.
I was like me, if I said me, it'd be a little different than you saying you. I think it's a great list. It just got my wheels turning. Just quick on the topic of Ricky and Earl, and because Quan talks about it. He talked about it with his jersey number, which is pretty interesting. But the fraternity of the position at Texas, like, did you have like what was your relationship kind of with Earl or Ricky if you had one?
I always had one. Oh, especially with Earl, because Earl began working at the university when I was at school, and so we
Mm-hmm.
became very close and still talk to him and his family all the time. Was with Ricky in Columbus last week, and so we all have a good relationship because we know what each person did for the program and the school, and we all appreciate it. And so when you're talking about running backs, it's hard to always say who's better than who, because like I said, everybody does it different. Everybody brings something different to the table. I mean, we talk about Earl. If you give him the ball, whether it be in the pros or at Texas, he can run in between tackles all game, and I couldn't do that. But I could go out and play receiver, and those guys couldn't do it, right? And so,
Yeah.
so we're all different, and we all brought something to the football team that people could appreciate and still appreciate.
Yeah, it's so different. Like we were talking about Henry versus McCaffrey the other day on our other show. like, and it's Saquon versus Henry, and a guy that we're friendly with, Chris Johnson,
Right.
and it's while you can compare them statistically, and while they play the same position, each guy plays it so damn differently.
Right. And so
It,
that's what it is. And so like when if you're gonna pick one of these guys, the first question is you have to ask is who's your coach? Because
mm,
that makes a difference, right? If you're playing for Bill Belichick in the 1990s, you want Derrick Henry. But if you're playing for Kyle Shanahan or McVay or those guys right now, you want Christian McCaffrey or Saquon.
mhm.
You want somebody who can do it all because they don't ever have to come off the field with the way they run offense today. And so it all depends on you. You have your guys, but it all depends on who's calling plays that makes a difference as to who you would pick.
Were you coached by Belichick?
In Cleveland,
He
yes,
was your head coach?
that was his first gig.
I
Yeah,
knew it was his first gig. I didn't know you. Okay, you guys matched up.
so he came. So
All
he
right.
came my third year. Yes.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on
Oh,
him as a?
well, look here. We always knew he was going to be a great coach because the way he paid attention to detail to the little things. There wasn't anything he couldn't tell you about what was happening on that field, whether it be offense, defense, or special teams. He knew everything. That's why he could toe the line on a lot of rules and stuff like that because he knew everything. And I mean, that's part of being the son of a coach. He knew everything. It was just when he first got to Cleveland. We had played. We had guys on our team who had gone to the AFC Championship 3 times, but never to the Super Bowl. I went once my rookie year, but never to the Super Bowl. And so we knew how to win. We just couldn't get to the big one. Whereas he had been to the big one and won it with the Giants. So now
Mhm.
you have the dynamic of a coach who is doing it the Parcells way and has won it versus older vets who've won games but haven't been to the Super Bowl. And so it was a tug of war. And so we knew he was going to be a good coach. He just had to have time to figure it out. And unfortunately, he didn't get that time in Cleveland.
Yeah, people always forget that he has 8 Super Bowls, not just the 6 as a head coach. People
Right.
forget that. Do
Right.
you think he's going to work as a college coach?
I do because I think it's just like everywhere he's been. It's a matter of getting his type of players in his system. And so it takes some time because in Cleveland, we didn't win when he first got there. But by year 2, 3, we were 11-5.
Mhm.
Patriots, same way. So it just takes the time. And in this day and age, NIL and transfer portal, he'll eventually be able to get people that he actually wants that can fit his coaching style and system, and they'll win some games.
Love it. I didn't expect to get the Bill insight today, but I'm so happy I did. I mean, I like as a Patriots fan growing up, I loved the guy, but he's definitely like as a fan, an interesting player, like interesting coach. I'm sorry to love. Like he's just so like blank and just at least in the
But
outside,
he's
I'm sure
really
like
not. So that little mess you see on TV, that's fake.
yeah,
Bill actually a funny guy. He's a funny guy and he's
I'm
cool to
sure.
be around. It's just he's not trying to give you any information regarding his football team because he thinks he's giving the other team an edge.
I love that. And that's why I love him. Like just the every little to the detail, any kind of advantage he'll take. So good. All right, Metcalf, you go enjoy Japan, eat some good sushi for me. I'm gonna be so jealous. At least send me a couple pics of the best food you eat. I'm gonna be so jealous. I don't even mean to do that. We'll see you if you're listening on ESPN 102.7. Austin, enjoy Tassopolis and Quan on the second half of this. But those listening on the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast, we'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Let's get a win. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
All right.